Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Video Game Leaks. And today we're going to talk about Borderlands 4 and just everything we know so far about the future of the franchise and where this next game will actually take us. So if you're excited to hear all this new information on the next installment in the Borderlands franchise, drop a like on this video, subscribe, and let's just dive right in. So what's actually in store for Borderlands 4? Well, it's impossible to predict where Borderlands 4's plot will actually go. The setup of Borderlands has always been fairly straightforward. The player usually assumes the control of a treasure hunter known as a vault hunter, whose goal it is to find the best loot possible. Now, the plot has occasionally changed from the previous Borderlands games, with some vault hunters facing violent cults and even a Dungeons and Dragons style campaign, but it always boils down to shooting things in order to find some sort of treasure. The favorite vault hunter, Lilith, gave her life for the team in Borderlands 3, which led many to think it was the last time they would ever see this legendary siren. The director's cut DLC for that game kind of hinted that Lilith was still alive, though not much was revealed beyond that. But this definitely would provide the ideal foundation for the plot of Borderlands 4. It's possible that the game requires players to travel outside the Pandora in order to search for a galaxy for Lilith, but with no official release date. When is Borderlands 4 actually coming out? But before I break this down, guys, I want to let you know that we're giving away a PS5 at 80,000 subscribers. All you have to do to enter is drop a like on this video, subscribe with your notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any future uploads. As well, tweet me proof that you're actually subscribed, and we will be picking the winner at 80,000 subscribers. So the release window for Borderlands 4 is still unknown because the game has not actually been formally announced, but there's good reason to think that it might happen sooner rather than later. The Borderlands team was working on what they would call the big one, as GearBox head Randy Pitchford hinted on X, formerly Twitter, presumably alluding to Borderlands 4 and the fact that it's actually going to happen. He then goes on to say that we are definitely working on some amazing stuff that I hope will surprise and delight you. He then goes on to say that anyone out there that has the skills to pay bills and wants to do some work on the Borderlands action, well, we're working on the big one. Now, this came after rumors that GearBox was assisting on the next Borderlands title, which he then shot down, remarking that these rumors are not accurate. In another post online, I'm told that the rumors that GearBox is assisting in co-developing another Borderlands game or a new spin-off game, these rumors are not accurate. GearBox is the lead developer for any future games in the Borderlands franchise or any Borderlands adjacent games with no co-development. As well, another interesting note, the existence of the game was further reported on upon when the name Borderlands 4 appeared in a LinkedIn profile spotted in 2023. As noticed by Eurogamer, a LinkedIn resume of an employee at GearBox Software Support Studio, it contained a number of unannounced projects, including the fourth mainline Borderlands game, which appeared to confirm the game's official existence. Now, given that Randy Pitchford hinted that GearBox was hiring for its upcoming game back in 2021, it stands to reason that the game Borderlands 4 was actively accelerating development at that time, which also means it's almost time for fans to learn that the team's upcoming project is actually Borderlands 4, and they've been working on it for at least 3 years. It's also interesting to note that the release dates of Borderlands, the prequel, released in 2014, and Borderlands 3 was released in 2019, and they were separated by about 5 years. Now, seeing it's been another half decade since the third mainline Borderlands game hit consoles, a Borderlands 4 announcement could happen any minute. If the game were to get a 2024 announcement, there is a very real possibility that it could be coming out this year. Borderlands 3 was first announced in March 2019 before it came out in September that same year. Therefore, if GearBox were to reveal its upcoming game this year, players actually might be able to play it by the end of 2024. So now that we kind of broke down the release date of Borderlands 4, now let's talk about some of the features and modifications to the gameplay that we could actually see happening in the next installment. So although there are no known gameplay details for Borderlands 4, and that's because the game hasn't been formally released yet, and seeing that the formula has largely remained the same since Borderlands in 2007, mixing RPG leveling and gear chasing with frenetic first-person shooter gameplay, fans can likely expect the same thing for Borderlands 4. Over time, some changes have been made to the Borderlands formula, with the introduction of the updated traversal in Borderlands 3. Players could now mantle and slide like in Apex Legends in the more recent Call of Duty games. Now, to level up the Borderlands experience for a potential fourth game, changes will undoubtedly be made. We're calling this the big one in-house, as Randy Pitchford hinted in 2021, and that could simply indicate that the studio's largest Borderlands game to date is coming, but it may also mean that there's more significant changes to the game that are going to be made. One massive direction and step in the right way the game could actually be releasing is taking Borderlands 4 to a platform platform instead of a single game. In the past, Borderlands titles have been fairly confined for what you can do on the disc, as well as when the DLC drops, and that's kind of the only way to actually expand and experience this title. It's also worth noting that perhaps Pitchford is hinting that the looter shooter could be going big. What if it went the way of the MMO style, going completely massive multiplayer on an ongoing live service, huge game, almost like games like Bungie's Destiny? Destiny by far has thrived on the ongoing shooter RPG market, and Borderlands feels like it could be the perfect series to make that next jump, and that's if the studio was actually willing to do that next jump and investing all of that time in an MMO style game. But doing that would allow gamers to return to Borderlands 4 day after day for years, with a constant drop of content being fed to them, as opposed to playing through the whole story once it's being done and just dropping it and being done with it forever. But an MMO style Borderlands might be the much needed breath of fresh air for the franchise, but it would also be a major step forward, and it's impossible without GearBox's support. So it'll definitely be interesting to see the direction of the next installment that they go with. But you guys know the saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So another thing that I wanted to touch on is the type of engine that the game will actually be running on. Randy Pitchford did mention that the new engine they'll be using is the Unreal Engine 5, and it's kind of built for the next new kind of generation Borderlands game. Now, while Epic Games says you can easily transfer your Unreal Engine 4 projects to Unreal Engine 5, there is likely a lot of custom work to be done, as GearBox software always modifies the engine to their liking, and also just learning the new engine, it's going to take time. But seeing that gigantic boss fight in the Unreal Engine 5 demo looks promising for the next Borderlands game. It's also worth noting the platforms that Borderlands 4 will be actually playable on. Of course, Borderlands 4 will be released on all the major platforms, meaning the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, as well as the PC. Other game releases are already phasing out the previous generation of consoles. Therefore, Borderlands 4 will not be available on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but limiting Borderlands 4 to the next generation of console means the game developers will not be restrained to the hardware specs of the previous gen. For instance, it's also worth noting that Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's Wonderland were Epic Games Store exclusives, and they were exclusive for the PC during their initial release windows, and it's very possible that this will happen again with Borderlands 4 as well. It would follow that it would be released on Steam a few months later. And kind of talking about the platforms, this is kind of a very important feature that I think is pretty awesome with Borderlands 4. Yes, Borderlands 4 will be a cross-platform, as GearBox has built their own cross-play infrastructure. So to build in cross-play in the next game is pretty awesome, and it'll be interesting to see the whole game actually play out, what the style of game they release. But guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up with this video. Let me know in the comment section if you're excited for Borderlands 4. Do you think Borderlands 4 will actually go MMO, or do you think they're gonna stick to the style of gameplay they've been building since 2007? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This has been Zach. I'll catch you in the next one.